Greetings, my family, greetings, champions, and welcome to Live with Chatufa. We are giving you updates of what is happening in the nation as we continue to see the failures of ZANU PF, ZANU PF ignoring most fundamental issues that are affecting Zimbabwean people. They are ignoring every sector. We are seeing every sector dead and not working at all. There is nothing that is functioning in the country, all because money is being misplaced by the government of Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU PF. Just yesterday, we were talking about teachers that are threatening to do strike action because they are incapacitated. And yet there is no action whatsoever that we are seeing coming from the side of the government of Emerson Mnangagwa. They don't care about it. They've destroyed almost everything. The health sector destroyed, the education sector destroyed, because all they care about is themselves. So we have also been talking about the moral fabric that has been destroyed, that has degenerated in Zimbabwe. When we were talking about the behavior of these ZANU-PF politicians, when it comes to women, young girls, when it comes to promiscuity and all the kind of filth that they are doing, having countless marriages and families all over the country. And that we have been saying that's one of those problems that we are seeing. The issue of drunkenness also being one of those major issues that are also affecting Zimbabwe. Right now, as we speak, the 263 chart reports that over 4,500 girls drop out of school due to pregnancy in 2023. This is the Minister of Education. Imagine coming out to talk about such kind of a number. That's a huge number. That's a huge number of young girls dropping out of school due to pregnancy. And that is also, again, owing to what we are always talking about, the issue of morals in the country, number one. Then, of course, the issue of poverty is also contributory to this. Then you find that, like we were saying last time, most of these politicians are the ones that are taking our young girls, our young children, and because of lack, our children end up just being given very small trinkets that cheat them out of good behavior, and they end up having to go with these old madalas and all these politicians, most of whom are very sick, most of whom are divorced. They've had marriages and marriages after marriages, and they have failed. And this is the situation that we are seeing. It must be worrisome to a government to realize that such a number of girls are dropping out of school. This really mustn't be taken lightly. But of course, we know that in our own context in Zimbabwe, there is no one who cares about what happens to our children. The government we have in place is not a government for the people. It's a government that is concentrating on what enriches them, is concentrating on their own children. You see them taking their children to in international schools in America, Canada, and the like. And yet, our own children are the ones that are going to all these government and the government schools. And yet, the ZANU-PF government does not put even a dime in the education sector in Zimbabwe, and thereby collapsing the education sector. And you'd find that now recovery is going to be a big problem, especially when we look at the condition affecting teachers. When you see the very drivers of education, who are the teachers, also complaining of incapacitation, what more about all other systems and other, uh, goods that are needed, artifacts that are needed to be used in the education sector? You'd find that all those things are never going to be available. And this continues to push our education system into the worst of the West. Zimbabwe used to have one of the most best education systems in Africa, and competitive even in the world. But today, if you talk about a qualification that comes from the University of Zimbabwe, it has lost value tremendously, to the point that they even doubt if you have a degree that is written University of Zimbabwe. They even doubt whether you really sat down for that degree, because ZANU-PF people politicians have continued to buy and force certificates out of that institution to the point that it has lost its value, and no one really believes that somebody could have really gone through. We have seen this happening with people like Grace Mugabe. We've seen this with Mnangagwa. We've seen it with his wife and many other politicians who just wake up with some doctorate degree or some kind of degree coming from the University of Zimbabwe. And yet these people did not really sit down for them for the whole course. So that on its own has caused the Zimbabwean system of education to be looked down upon. The one which used to be very valuable, one that used to be really respectable all over the world. Look at where we are today. And this is one of the reasons. So besides pregnancies that we are seeing in young girls, we are also seeing those that are dropping out of school due to lack of funds, especially for school fees and all other necessities that are needed. And we are also seeing some that are dropping out because of disintegrated marriages. When marriages break down, the parents separate, children will have to end up getting to go and stay with their grandparents. Some of the grandparents are so old and poor, they can't take care of the children until children finally don't go to school. And this is a generation, a whole generation that is being destroyed by Emerson Mnangagwa and the ZANU PF. You would find that looking into these 10 years plus, where the education sector has suffered tremendously, you'd find that there's been a creation of another species of people, a group of people, another generation of people that are going to be so uneducated, and yet they are Zimbabweans. And yet we used to know, and the whole world used to know that Zimbabwean people are very, very educated people. But I think for now that rhetoric is gone now. Nobody can still continue to talk about it because over the years now, 15 to more years now, we have had the education system suffering so seriously, and the idea of really producing results is fallen to the ground, and we can't really continue boasting about the most educated African state anymore, because we've been surpassed by some countries whose people used to come to Zimbabwe for education. So this is all that this is all that Wanamnangagwa are leaving behind is their inheritance. We are going to be inheriting an illiterate generation, a whole illiterate generation that is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. These are the people that will end up in prostitution, will end up in drugs, will end up in committing of crime and things like that. And that makes a country very, very ungovernable. So this is the problem that we are seeing, family. And we really definitely need to pray for Zimbabwe, because we can't have more and more of our young people dropping out of school just like that. It is really a very painful experience. But of course, we have to just believe God for change in Zimbabwe. Otherwise, with the ZANU PF, we are going nowhere. With these people, we are going nowhere. There is nothing that will ever succeed until ZANU PF and Emerson Mnangagwa are gone. So this is what it is, family. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. Remember, as always, we encourage us to subscribe to the channel, to like and share. And as much as possible, let's not skip the adverts. They are very, very important in promoting the channel. If you are not that much in a hurry, please don't skip. But if maybe you are in a hurry, or maybe your data is too limited, you may skip. But otherwise, it is good to promote the channel. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Subscribe, like, and share till we meet in the upcoming show. You are blessed.